anything stand in your way.
Another agent is now in your group.
What's up, agents? How y'all doing? Hope everybody's hanging in there, being as safe as you guys need to be. So today I'm bringing a video that I've been looking forward to making and wanted to wait and at least take some time playing with this weapon, that weapon being the Strega. I was really hoping that this will be the replacement to my Capacitor. The Capacitor has hands down been, with very few exceptions, the #1 skill build weapon for years now. So the question is, will it finally be dethroned as the king of the skill build weapons? Do me a favor, if you guys find this interesting, you guys learned something new, smashing that like button would be greatly appreciated. Hopefully by the end of this, if I haven't already, I will have earned your guys subscriptions. Best thing you can do to help my channel is to share this video. And do me a favor, anything that you guys have found yourselves, anything that I may have incorrectly, or anything you guys want to see in the future, leave a comment down below. All right, agents, let's get into the Strega versus the Capacitor. Let's go. All right, as you agents can see, the gameplay idea seems pretty straightforward with this. All right, so the Strega's got the perk Unnerve. So killing an enemy will apply a mark to all enemies within 20 meters. Multiple marks can be applied to the same enemy, meaning if you kill multiple enemies in the group, it will stack up on the remaining enemies, up to a total of 5 stacks. Every enemy will then, in theory, be dealt 15% amplified, that's multiplicative damage per stack. So if an enemy has 5 stacks, that would be 75% additional damage. The Capacitor, on the other hand, simply ramps up to 40 stacks, each stack attributing 1.5% skill damage. So this will stack up to 60% additional skill damage. So we're talking 75% amplified versus 60% additional. So you can see right there, there's a huge discrepancy, right? Obviously, we're going to get more out of the 75% amplified. But the question really comes down to what does it take to make that happen? All right, as you guys can see, basic theory behind this gun, if you're not worried about your skills and you're just shooting stuff, you guys can see that it works really straightforward. You kill an enemy, the rest of the enemies get a stack. You kill the next enemy, they get up to 2 stacks. And so basically, once you're up to the 5 stacks, you're rocking and rolling. In a group where everybody is using the Strega, this would be absolutely amazing. You'd basically keep the 75% amplified damage up for the entire team, basically after you get those first 5 kills. From there, it would just string over and over to all the other enemies. Similar to Pestilence in theory, but it applies to multiple enemies at one time. Alright, for this video, what I'm going to be testing is specifically for a skill build. If we're dialing in a skill tier 6 skill build, how will this perform against the Capacitor? It's an entirely different realm if we wanted to get into weapon core DPS builds. That's a subject for another time. So straightforward, full 100% skill builds, will this outperform the Capacitor? I will note that my Strega is brand new. I have not optimized it at all, and my Capacitor is not only optimized, but it has an expertise level over 20. What we're mainly looking at is how does the talent of the weapons end up affecting the skill damage done. We're not so much looking at the weapon damage. All right, for us to test a skill build, we're going to go with a very consistent skill build. We're going to go with 2 pieces of Hana U, 3 pieces of Empress International, 1 piece of Wyvern with tech support and skill. The reason for this is we want to have consistent damage, and it's much easier with tech support to get that bonus going. We could get a little more damage if we were to use the force multiplier with combined arms. That would raise that damage bonus from 25% up to 30%. Additionally, we could throw on glass cannon for the extra damage bonus. That wouldn't have skewed the numbers. It was just easier to run with this build the way I had it and get us decent numbers. A little bit later on, when we test the self-proc overcharge, we will be using glass cannon as well as the force multiplier. So when we get to the actual max damage numbers, we'll see that a little bit later. For overall testing, we're going with the most consistent. Another thing to add is for even higher damage numbers, we would actually work the waveform into this as well. That would net us a little bit more damage, but due to the oscillating nature of the waveform, we once again would get very inconsistent numbers. So for consistency, this is the build we're using. With this build, the Striker drone will have a base damage of about 90k. Our turret will have a base damage of about 144k. I think both of these are at expertise level 26. So this is just about maxed out. I think now we can hit 27. I haven't quite hit that yet. So this should give you the idea of where we're starting at a base with no talents procced. Alright, so Strega basic gameplay. You guys can see we put out the drone, the turret. It ramps up those stacks. And unfortunately, the bullet damage from the turret and the Striker drone do not get amplified by that bonus. They are considered their own entities, essentially. It is strange that them getting the kills counts as my kills, but they don't count towards the bonus, even though that bonus should be applied to anybody shooting the marked target. So that's a strange feature. However, that's the way it's working. So be advised that the Strega will not buff the damage of your Striker drone, your assault turret, nor your sniper turret. Now the Capacitor, at 40 stacks, it's much easier to maintain than trying to maintain 5 stacks on all the enemies around, considering it necessitates getting 5 kills. In a lot of situations, there's not even 5 enemies all grouped up to then pass on those marks to. So the cool thing is the Capacitor can be ramped up on the toughest enemy, and even if you're fighting just one enemy, say a tank or something like that, a Juggernaut guy, the Capacitor will ramp up. You'll get maximum effect of its damage, while the Strega, you will never see the advantages of its amplified damage bonus. Alright guys, just to give you some raw numbers. So if we have the Strega plus tech support procced, we're going to be looking at 112k damage on the Striker drone, as well as 180k damage for the assault turret. So whether we're at base or we're at times 5 stacks, there's going to be no change to the damage of our skills. Only our weapon damage will be amplified. Now the Capacitor at 40 stacks, on the other hand, along with tech support, will ramp up our drone damage to 145,000 and 230,000 for the turret. So a significant damage bonus right there, just ramping those up. Now, you may ask yourself, well, how does this work in practical gameplay? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to toss on the Bionic Commando build. So not only are we still at skill tier 6, but we are maximizing the efficacy of our weapon damage while still maintaining a full skill build. So our base drone damage here is going to be 78k. Our base turret damage is going to be 125,000. Now, if we have the Strega with the glass cannon, our base damage is going to be buffed up to 98,000 for the drone, 156,000 for the turret, and our weapon damage, now 5 stacks of the Strega, so that's a 75% amplified damage. We're going to be doing 274,000 as the base damage to the body, 480,000 with the crit to the body, 682,000 per bullet with the headshot, and up to 753,000 with the critical headshot using the Strega at the stacks times 5. Now, comparing that to the Capacitor at 40 stacks, we're getting a substantial damage bonus to the turret and the drone, 129k from the drone, 206k from the turret. Now, our weapon damage is a little bit less, and we're looking at 208,000 to the body, 420,000 on a critical body shot, and we're doing 656 on a critical headshot. So without jumping through any hoop, we're doing, 90% of the damage that the Strega allows us at max stacks without having to do anything with the Capacitor. Alright guys, so if we want to self-proc overcharge, we throw on Glass Cannon, we throw on the Force Multiplier for perfect combined arms. We are leaving out the waveform now to get some more consistent damage. You could squeeze in a little bit more damage with this. But running with the Strega and we overcharge, we kick our drone damage up to 178k and our turret up to 285k. When we compared this with the Capacitor at 40 stacks, we're looking at 227k with the Striker drone and 364k with the assault turret on an overcharge with those full 40 stacks. So significant damage difference right there. Alright, so now we need to talk about what skills will proc Unnerve. We already know that the assault turret, the striker drone, and the sniper turret will all proc them. But will the sticky bombs? No. How about our shrapnel trap? None of the pulses will proc it. The incinerator turret will not proc it. Alright, so the Stinger Hive will not proc it. Negative on the fire starter. And another big negative on the oxidizer. Firefly is giving us no love. Explosive Seeker. The airburst has got to work, right? Well, if those didn't work, there's no way the cluster mines are working. So the last thing I was hoping was the deflector shield would actually proc it. Then I realized if I'm holding the deflector shield, I have to have the pistol, so I can't be holding the Strega, so that's out. So essentially, no skills that do not have bullets, that aren't based on bullet damage, will proc it. So that, once again, just leaves us with the Striker, the Assault Turret, and the Sniper Turret. Alright guys, so the question really comes down to, can we still take advantage of the Strega for skill builds? And the answer is yes. Is there a trade-off? Yes, there is. But I think it's really doable. And what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to pop on the hardwire build. And so what this will do is it'll allow us to get our skills back extremely quickly. And what that will allow me to do is use my Sniper Turret or my Assault Turret to go ahead and proc whatever my secondary skill is that we're going to be buffing the damage on. So, when we got something like the Burn Sticky Bomb, right? We can go ahead and use our turret and our gun to ramp up the stacks quickly, and that will buff the ultimate damage the Sticky Bomb does. So our Sticky Bomb at 5 stacks will go from 223k up to 391k when we reach that max stack. So that's a big buff. So with the Incinerator Turret, we go from 240k first up to 419k. And then when we proc in sync, that pops us up to 506k per tick. So that's over a 100% damage bonus from that 240 initial all the way up to 506k. Of course, it probably doesn't need to be said that this will greatly enhance the damage of the Seeker mines. It's hard to quantify. As you guys know, the damage is all over the place based on blast radius, where they're at and stuff. But as you can see, it's a huge bonus for those Seeker mines. So that may be a great way to run it, is to run a turret along with the cluster Seekers. So ultimately, what do I think when looking at these two? The Strega on one hand, the Capacitor on the other. I've got to play with them more. Right now, I got to say the Capacitor is still easier to use in so many regards. First of all, single target damage or fewer than 5 enemies, we're not going to hit max stacks. The Capacitor's weapon damage is already at the top of what it's going to be, and it's only slightly below what the Strega is going to hit at max stacks. The other issue I have with it is some of my preferred skills, the striker drone, the assault turret, it doesn't buff the damage of. So it is very strange that those skills will contribute to proccing the buff, but do not take advantage of the buff. So that is a bit strange. And it feels like if I'm running one of those skills to help get those stacks up, then I'm taking away from a skill in a skill build that would otherwise I would want to buff the damage of. So we're only getting the damage bonus for one of our skills. We are getting the damage bonus for our weapon, but then our striker drone or our assault turret or sniper turret is missing out. And so that's just kind of strange to me. So right now, I just feel like the gameplay loop and the ability to maintain maximize damage is still significantly easier running the Capacitor. Now, the one thing I will mention is it could be that this weapon is simply for, and I imagine it does, and I'm going to check this out, performs incredibly well with a weapon DPS build or say an armor core build with a bunch of crit hit chance, crit hit damage, where you're running, say, a striker drone to, maybe proc companion, something like that. But where you're running around, your striker drone can buff your weapon damage, your weapon's going to buff your weapon damage, and basically it's all about your weapon causing damage because, if you can ramp up and keep that 75% amplified damage with your weapon going all the time, and, you're looking at substantial, we'll have to see. That's going to be another video. But I really do think the Strega is an awesome weapon when used in the right builds. I just don't feel like full-on skill builds is where it's at. So let me know what you guys think. If you found this interesting, learned anything new, smash that like button would be greatly appreciated. Hopefully by now I've earned you guys subscriptions. Best thing you can do to help my channel is to share this video. And let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have found any combinations or interactions that really work well. Let me know if you guys can substantiate my claims. Are you guys facing the same issues that I am? And let me know, what sort of builds are you guys integrating the Strega into that really is letting it shine, that really is showing the full capabilities of this weapon. All right, thank you so much, agents. I will probably come out with a new video should I get enough information or something comes to light where I'm just, oh my gosh, I've been using it wrong. I will definitely follow up with another video. But for right now, those are my findings. Again, as always, that's just my opinion. All right, you agents be as safe as you need to be, and we'll catch you all in the dark zone. Peace out, everybody.